So this video is going to give you a perfect model to understand the entire spiritual path as we can experience it on planet Earth. We're going to go from ignorance to non-duality and beyond, and even prior to ignorance. So prior to ignorance, in ignorance, after non-duality, after awakening and beyond. And that's going to be what we're going to cover in this video. And I'm going to give it to you in the form of a very simple, well-known story. It's important we know this because if we don't, the chances are you're going to be banging your head against a wall for a while. There's going to be a lot of blind spots, and it's going to be very, very hard for you to understand what is actually going on. So Adam and Eve are in the Garden of Eden, and God says to Adam and Eve, do not bite this apple. This is a knowledge apple. You'll know things if you bite this, and you trust me, you don't want to know things. Knowing things might not be to your liking. Now, what God has done, what this is symbolic of, is a curiosity. So God didn't say, don't bite the apple because if you do, you're going to die. He just said, don't bite the apple. Okay, fair enough. And what we find is that it creates curiosity. So what we see is that curiosity is a very pure energy. Very, very pure energy. Curiosity is a part of nature. It's a very pure energy, and that's actually the energy of creation. So Adam and Eve get curious. In other words, there's curiosity. Energy desires to expand. Energy desires to create. And energy desires to know, right? That's what curiosity is. It says, don't bite the apple of knowledge. And they get curious to bite the apple of knowledge. They go to the tree, and just as they were about to walk away, the snake says, whoa, 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 before you go, don't go yet. Trust me, bite this apple. Now, this is what we call the devil. This is the incarnation of the devil, the snake, the evil snake. The snake tells them to bite the apple of knowledge. But why does this evil snake, if it's supposed to be so evil, tell them to bite the apple of knowledge? Why not the apple of poison? Why not the rotten apple? Why not the poisonous, if you bite this, you're going to die forever and ever, amen? Why the apple of knowledge, you see? So what we find is that the serpent is like essentially the representation of falling into ignorance. And ignorance is usually associated with sin, turning away from God in the absence of the truth. So the serpent's really getting them to bite this apple. And what happens is they bite the apple of knowledge, and what happens is they know things now. So prior to this, if you imagine the analogy of a yin and yang symbol, there's white and there's black in the white and white in the black. They're right now in the Garden of Eden in the white. They have no memory, nothing to remember, pure absolute, basically God, absolute. This is symbolic, Garden of Eden, perfection. So perfect, nothing to remember to even know there's perfection, because they cannot equate perfect to something imperfect if there's no imperfection. So they're just in absolute knowledge, which is essentially no knowledge at all. Absolute knowledge is knowledge-less. So they're in a knowledge-less state. They bite the apple of knowledge, and now they know things. I'm naked. I'm a man. You're a woman. Now we're in duality, you see? So now they go over to the black side of the yin and yang symbol. Now the black side isn't bad. It's not a bad side to be on. It's just a part of reality. And this part of reality just means duality. So they were in non-duality, now they're in duality. And that means that because they were prior to this experience, now they were being very metaphorical here. I'm trying to explain this in a linear fashion so that you can understand it, but it's not linear in our reality. What I'm explaining to you now is literally happening right now, all the time, consistently. It's just the way it is, right? But we're trying to understand it fully. So because Adam and Eve are now in duality, and there's no memory of non-duality because it's absolute perfection with no unmanifestation, basically. You can't remember non-duality. You basically can't remember God. God can't remember itself. There's nothing to remember. You can't remember zero-dimensional objectless nothingness, right? No one's ever said to you, hey, remember that time there was zero objectiveless nothingness? Of course not. You can't remember that, right? There's no objects there to refer to bring up as a memory. And also, if there's no objects there in the moment, there's no mind. Mind is objects. When you experience objects, you're not experiencing objects, you're experiencing mind. You're experiencing sight, sensation, perception, taste, smell. Everything in your experience is mind. And you think it's an object, but really what you're perceiving is your own mind clothed over infinite, zero-dimensional, unmanifest consciousness. So you never experience objects, you only experience mind. So if there's no mind, there's no objects. And if there's no objects, there's no mind, you see? So that's why you can't remember deep sleep, because there's nothing there. That's why coming into out of the Garden of Eden after biting the apple of knowledge, well, there's nothing there to refer to remember it. So there is only, apparently, from the point of view of Adam and Eve, duality. And this, therefore, is the birth of separation. So the separation, the part where we all suffer in life, takes place when we think separation is fundamentally real. And we think it's fundamentally real because we think duality is fundamentally real. We think because there is duality, in other words, because I experience separate objects, well, the separate objects must be made of separate things. And because I seem to be separate from this separate thing, we must be separate things. And if I'm experiencing a separate consciousness, and you're experiencing a consciousness, and we have separate bodies, consciousness must be separate. So I must be temporally limited and finite, and that must be reality. That is the birth of suffering. It's simply mistaking one half of reality without understanding the other half. And if you go too far in either direction, you find suffering. We're going to go into this in a little bit. So Adam and Eve are in the Garden of Eden, and they've bitten the apple of knowledge, and Adam's going, whoa, 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 what are those two things? And he's scared about her boobs, and he's getting shy, and Eve's like, get away, Adam, what the fuck's going on? And she's trying to cover her breasts. And Adam's running around going, I don't know either. And he's like trying to get grass and just cover over his balls. And everyone's going crazy, right? They're like, what is going on? They're freaking out. They have self-consciousness, right? This is what children go through about the age of 10 to 12, right? When they hit puberty. They become aware of the self that they are. In other words, they become aware of individual experience and the one that is individually experiencing. Now, they are aware of the one that's actually experiencing, but they think the one that's experiencing is the body and the mind. So this is where we get self-conscious. We've all had that experience, right? Self-conscious. Oh, is that person looking at me? Do I have something in my teeth? Is there something wrong with my hair? Like, this is self-consciousness, right? Anxiety about the way we look or the way we are. So Adam and Eve start wearing clothes. They're running around the Garden of Eden. They're trying to build fires, survive. This is all lower vibrational energy. So in the Garden of Eden, they were higher vibrational energy, right? It was just pure, absolute happiness, which is the highest form. It's like the crown chakra and beyond. It's just happiness, right? Pure happiness, which is the nature of what we are. Now they're in lower vibration. Their priority now is basically survival. So they're in low vibrational chakra, which is not low vibration. This is bad vibration. It's so low. You've got such a low vibe. That's not what it is. It's just a vibration that is on the gross level. Gross meaning solid and dense. Food, water, pissing, pooing, that is gross level. That is gross. But it's gross level, right? So we're eating things and we're pooing things out. That's the gross level, human bodily survival. And then the things you've got to do to survive, that requires another level of energy, which is you've got the root chakra, sacral chakra, and whatever chakra. These are the chakras that basically keep maintaining the energy that maintains the third dimension. Your experience of the third dimension is maintained with these three vibrations, these three energies. The things that make you eat, the things that make you do things to build, like huts and fires and God knows what, discoveries. And then eventually we got these kind of mapped out. And then all of a sudden we want to find happiness, right? With the search then, when survival is kicked in, we come back to the Garden of Eden, basically. Our desire is to come back to the Garden of Eden. It's natural desire. Adam and Eve go, oh, but I think there's something, I can't really remember what happened, but I think there was something good before we ended up here, Eve. Do you not agree? Like, I can't put my finger on it. Like, we just appeared here out of nowhere. I have no memory of where we actually come from, but I'm pretty sure before this, there was something better than this. And he was like, yeah, do you know what, Adam? Like, I think I kind of agree with you. Like, it felt pretty good, whatever was going on before this, but I just don't know what it was. That's their intuition of truth. And they say, let's try and find this truth. Let's come back to the Garden of Eden. And what happens then is that they go searching the globe, searching the planet, and they cannot find the Garden of Eden. It's nowhere to be found. And what they're trying to do is they're doing things from the lower three chakras to try and find the highest chakra, right? So think about it like this. Most people in the world are trying to find the highest vibrational chakra. I'm using these Indian languages. Like, I don't usually use this, but I think it's relatable to a lot of people, right? So this is why I'm using this. The highest chakra is crown chakra. It's happiness. It's pure, unconditional happiness, the highest place you can be. That's the Garden of Eden. And they're trying to get back to the Garden of Eden by doing things in the third dimensional gross world. Power, control, things like that, right? Obviously, Garden of Eden, we're stretching the metaphor here. Adam and Eve didn't have time to start up a whole civilization and do this, but just apply it to this analogy. Adam and Eve are there trying to do things, right, which is lower vibrational things, which are things that allow the body to survive. They're only good for that stuff. Eating, sleeping, pooing and peeing, and making love and having sex and reproducing, right? They're trying to do these things in order to go above. And the more you try to do lower vibrational chakra stuff to get higher vibrational chakra results, you go lower vibrational. In other words, you create more suffering, because that's what creates, because it doesn't work, right? So if it doesn't work, what happens is there's resistance to that. It creates resistance. When you do something that isn't built for the thing it's meant to do, there is resistance. And we go lower and lower down. So the more, think about it, you all know people, we all know people in the world who have done everything they can in the third lower vibrational chakras to get higher vibrational results, either otherwise found money, sex, drugs, blah, 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 to find ultimate peace and happiness, which never works. They go lower and lower down in their vibration. They get more and more depressed. Think of Jim Carrey going through his depression. Think of Robin Williams, right? Think of all these celebrities and people that you know, and even your life. You've definitely most likely gone through this if you're watching this video right now. Every time you have, the more you've sought the lower vibrational chakras to find higher vibrational results, you have gone down and down in the chakras, right? You've basically gone down in your energy. You've become more, you've suffered more, basically. Lower vibrational just means suffering more. And the more we start to suffer, the more we come to a conclusion that we cannot do this anymore. It's not possible. You cannot find happiness through doing things in the gross level. It doesn't work. Nothing you can do, that means literally nothing you can do. That means no practice, no meditation, nothing at all can take us to the higher vibrational chakra, which is pure happiness itself. We're going to start removing these chakra words now. Pure happiness, unconditional happiness. This is why the Buddhist traditions and all the meditative traditions, they teach the one that only knows how to do things in the world to do the one thing they do not know how to do, which is to do nothing. That's what meditation is. We're teaching someone who cannot yet comprehend the fact that the truth can only be discovered when they stop trying to find it, by giving them something to find which isn't finding anything. It's quite literally a very intelligent, skillful means to completely reduce the mind's energy towards external experience. And we start getting used to the internal experience. And the internal experience isn't all the way there, but it's closer than it is to searching in the world. So this is where you find the analogy, and then they go on a spiritual quest. So cutting to the chase here, Adam and Eve go through a spiritual journey, and they come out at the end and they say, do you know what, Adam, I'm getting kind of sick of this. And Adam's going, yeah, Eve, this is getting kind of ridiculous now. It's been 30 years and we haven't even come close to the Garden of Eden, yeah? And Eve's like, well, the only thing that we've kind of sought is experience. But what if we tried to free ourselves from experience itself? What if it's not in experience that we can find this freedom? What if it's actually to be freed from experience itself? And I was like, holy shit, you might be onto something there, Eve. And Eve realizes that finding freedom in experience, which is anything possibly that we could experience, doesn't seem to work. And realizes that the only way to find freedom is to be freed from experience itself. Now, to be freed from experience itself means that we cannot do something in experience to be freed from experience. In the same way that a character in a movie cannot find anything in the movie in order to find the screen. And what Adam and Eve are searching for is the screen, you see? So if we just, sorry we're going too many metaphors, but we're going to tie it all together. Imagine a movie screen, and there's a character in the movie, and the character wants to find freedom from the movie. Well, if the character wants to find freedom from the movie, he has to find the screen in which the movie plays, because the screen is not limited to the movie. The screen is not limited to the movie. So if the character in the movie wants to be freed from the movie, he must find the screen. Therefore, nothing he can do in the movie is going to help him find the screen in which the movie is playing, you see? Likewise, Adam and Eve can't do anything in the world to find the Garden of Eden, because the Garden of Eden doesn't exist in this third dimensional world that they live. Likewise, we cannot do anything to find peace and happiness in the world, or ultimate freedom, because what we are doesn't exist in the same dimension as the third dimensional world in which the body-mind exist, that being pure consciousness. So nirvana, awakening, enlightenment, isn't just to recognize our true nature, it's to establish ourselves as our true nature. So what we could consider the true awakening is to realize Adam and Eve have this epiphany, and then they say, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, let's just say, for example, they had a spiritual awakening, and they realized their true nature. And they said, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I just had the craziest experience. Adam, did you just experience the same thing? And I was like, yeah, Eve, that was fucking crazy. What the fuck's going on? We are God, we are everything. There's only love and light. There's only God, blah, 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 blah. And everything is amazing and beautiful. And there's only non-duality, and there's only the absolute, and God is what we are, and we're fundamentally the same consciousness. And they have this awakening experience. And then, give it 5 hours, 24 hours, or a week, they come down from this experience. And now they're like, holy shit, why did that just disappear? Where is it gone? Why am I so unenlightened now? And he's like, I have no idea, Adam. Why am I so unenlightened now too? You're unenlightened too? He's like, yeah, I'm unenlightened now. And they're like, shit, we're both unenlightened. Well, we were just enlightened. He's like, I know. She's like, well, where did it go? Well, this is the thing to see. If your enlightenment was an experience, then it wasn't an enlightenment. Because enlightenment is to be grounded in our true nature. And if you're sitting there thinking the experience is just gone, well, think of it like this. This is the saying that I say. Highs or lows, or is it ups or downs? Ups and downs, highs or lows, states that come are states that go. And our true nature, reality, is not a state. So it doesn't matter what the state is, where the state was, who you freaking thought you were in the state. If it was a state, it was a state. And all states that come are states that go. And if it went, well, reality can't go. So if whatever happened, that's not the truth, you see? So what happens now is that Adam and Eve, they come down and they go, oh my God, well, we're unenlightened again. And now I'm pretty sad because now I feel like I've got to go back there. So Adam and Eve think we need to go back to the Garden of Eden. They say, Adam, we need to figure out how do we get back to the Garden of Eden. He's like, yeah, we got to get back there. What can we do? Let's try and find a guru. Let's try and find a teacher. Let's try and find some psychedelics. Let's go back to the Garden of Eden. Eve, this is the sickest plan I've ever had in my life. He's like, yes, Adam. And they're hyped. They're on this spiritual journey now. Now they're trying to go back to the Garden of Eden. They join a free community, and they're trying to go back to where they thought they had to go. Reality kicks in. Adam, for some reason it doesn't seem to be working. I was like, Eve, I know, please don't bring it up again. And said, yeah, but Adam, come on, we've got to talk about this. This is the only thing we've got left to do. And I was like, Jesus Christ, Eve, yeah, I know, but there must have been something that we can do. And then Eve goes, whoa, Adam, hold on a minute. Wasn't the realization that we realized before, the realization that there's nothing we can do to go to the Garden of Eden because the Garden of Eden is to be freed from experience itself? And I was like, and he's like, did we just do the exact same thing that we did when we were in ignorance, but do it again, but try to find a different object? Fuck, yeah, we just did that. And then Adam and Eve realize that you cannot find any state of mind in reality because the state we're looking for doesn't exist in the world that we're experiencing. It exists in pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is the nature of our experience. It cannot be created or destroyed. It's the thing that's always there. It's the thing that's hearing these words right now. You cannot find it as much as you can touch it, taste it, lick it, feel it, bop it. You cannot do anything to it because it's the nature of your experience. So you cannot look for it because it's already the thing that's looking. So if you look for the thing that looks, you've already found it. Now we have to see, basically, that is infinite. Now, usually at this stage, if you've been resonating with Adam and Eve going through this kind of journey, then you will know that you already know that you're infinite. You know that you cannot find any limitation to you. So now Adam and Eve realize this, and they say, okay, so basically the goal is not to be in one or the other. The goal is to realize that we can exist in duality while knowing non-duality. And actually, we see that duality shines with non-duality. So the goal is not to be in the white, which is non-duality. It's not to be in the Garden of Eden, which they thought it was. It's not to be in duality. It's to be completely coherent with both. And enlightenment, we could say, or a true awakening, is once we recognize our true nature, then we go through a phase of trying to get back to our true nature, realizing we don't need to go back there because it's already here. Then we say, oh, Eve, but the thing is though, why is my experience kind of shit like it was before? Why isn't it as good as it was when I had the awakening experience? And he's like, yeah, you're right. My boring, dull ass experience right now is not as good as it was before when I was on the really enlightened experience. Then they realize again, I did it again. I thought I had to find an object. So the object I think I found wasn't actually there, and it was actually a state of mind, and that's not what I should be looking for. So really, I should be just okay with the thing I'm experiencing right now. Realize the most loving, compassionate, godlike experience that you can find is the godlike experience that is completely okay with your current experience. So this boring day-to-day casual experience, the one that you say hi to your grandmother with, the one that you shake hands with, the one that you sit down and pee with, the one that you do God knows what with, the day-to-day experience that you are currently experiencing, the most highest spiritual thing that you could possibly ever do is love that experience. So for as long as you try to get away from that experience, you're moving away from the truth. So Adam and Eve realize, I think we've been doing this all wrong the whole time. Adam, could you imagine if the Buddha came here right now and was like, Adam and Eve, you need to get away from this experience, man. You look at the state of mind you're in right now. You need to be more like me. I'm the Buddha, and I've got this universal consciousness, and I feel amazing. And my state of mind, I feel like my head's the size of a galaxy, and I can know all knowledge, and I have this kind of weird-ass state where I can kind of like see God knows what. It's like, no. The Buddha was simply absolutely perfectly happy with the current experience that he genuinely had day to day, which is what you're experiencing right now. Which is what Adam and Eve are experiencing, and they realize that and realize there's no need to change their experience. So now they've realized their true nature. They know there's no need to change it. They know that the state that they were already in is actually the natural state. And now that minus the need to change it actually puts them in the natural state. Now they're in the natural state. That's what we call sahaja samadhi, natural state, peace and happiness, unconditional happiness. So all the times that you've sat there and said to yourself, oh my gosh, I shouldn't think this because I'd be so unawakened to think that, or I shouldn't feel this because I'd be so unawakened to feel this, or no. And most of the time you don't even think it like that. You just kind of like feel that, and you kind of think it without thinking it. It's like we subtly feel it, and we don't admit it to ourselves, because if we admit it to ourselves, it becomes real. If it becomes real, we feel like we sacrifice our own awakening. But it's more awake. If we're going to give some scale, I don't do this, but if we're going to give some scale, right, just to ease the mind's thinking to awakening, like what's more awakened or less awakened, it's more awakened to be okay with the unawakened tendencies, because that is an awakened perspective. So you can't expect all your ignorance to just vanish. So basically, you've got to be able to be coherent with your ignorance, the old patterns of ignorance, and be completely okay with that and not judge it. Because the problem is that you don't want people to judge you, and then therefore you're judging yourself because you think you should be more awakened than you are. So remove the idea of being less or more awakened. Just imagine that you are awakened. There's nothing else to do to get more awakened, and now your desire is to align with the truth. So you want to be coherent with duality and coherent with non-duality. And this is where we share the truth. There are things that we can explore to make sure that there's less triggers from duality. This is the stuff I share in my premium community, where basically we look into all the ways that we have been attached to the material world, and we essentially dissolve those conditions. So for example, we've all been conditioned to believe that we're inside the body. Therefore, we see a separate world. So there's ways that we can explore essentially dissolving the separation between our perceptions, right? Seeing this distance between the camera and myself. It's a necessary distinction, but I don't see a distance between myself and the camera and my body, you see? So myself is not located in somewhere. But that's what happens when we condition ourselves with decades of that conditioning, believing that we're inside the body. Now, what this means is that we get less triggers. So if Adam and Eve do these explorations, there's less things. They don't look at an apple in the tree and go, oh my God, look, there's duality and now I'm separate. They see, oh, there's duality and it shines with non-duality. It shines with reality. The old method, the old approach to our life was, if I see a duality, I experience separation, because separation implies things are separate. And if things are separate and that's real, I'm separate. That's what triggers the separate self. So if we can dissolve these things, this is the latter half of the spiritual path. Recognizing our true nature is child's play compared to the actual expanse of the stuff that we're doing here. And what you'll find is that, oh my God, my camera's just gone completely black. Well, almost black. What you'll find is that a lot of teachers are mostly polarized in one direction. They're either polarized towards love or polarized towards wisdom. Polarized towards wisdom is teachers like Rupert Spira, for example. Polarized towards love is people like Ram Dass, right? Where there's Ram Dass less intellectual capacity to expand on the deeper aspects of the path, but higher capacity, and this sounds ridiculous to say this, and I don't really agree with what I'm saying, but I'm giving you a general understanding. More capacity to express love. I'm not saying Rupert has less capacity to express love, but I'm saying that generally in the teaching, there is more emphasis on the intellectual side, which is being able to express this understanding, which is extremely important, and not so much talking about love and devotion and compassion and empathy and things like that, right? There's just less of that. So what we want to do is we don't want to find a teacher and try to be like them. We want to have a teacher as an anchoring point towards love and wisdom. Love and wisdom is the same as duality and non-duality, right? These polarities that we find, we want to coherently embody. And this is what we're doing in the human experience. So we're polarizing between duality and non-duality, and we're polarizing between love and wisdom. Devotion, truth, empathy, compassion, others, separateness, duality, sorry, not necessarily separateness. Because we can live in non-duality without being separate, and that doesn't create any ignorance, and that doesn't create any suffering. So basically, we just want to be allowing ourselves to find and love all of this experience completely as it is. No judging whether I'm less awakened or more awakened, and complete coherence with reality. So we just want to be we want to be essentially cleansing our experience with the desire for truth. So when something arises, we want to cleanse it with a desire for truth. That's it. We're just cleansing it with a desire for truth, a desire for truth, desire for truth. We just want to experience the truth, right? And the truth will, like that man from Jerusalem once said, set us free. So beyond our recognition of our true nature, I hope this has mapped it out for you so that you can have a complete understanding of what to actually be doing with your life. The path isn't just over, right? I do call it the startless path, because the minute you start, the minute you stop, because you stop doing things in order to find happiness. But it doesn't mean that you're still not caring about your experience. It doesn't mean you still don't care about what's going on. We all know teachers that are completely polarized in trying to get people to the white, and themselves are stuck in the white. Basically, they're stuck in non-duality. They haven't met the maturity yet to be coherent with non-duality. And there's always a subtle suffering in that. There's always a subtle lack of compassion. There's always a subtle lack of empathy. And people say, why, well, if there's non-duality, why would I have compassion? Compassion for who? Compassion for what? There's nothing there, no one there, and I'm not someone either. It's a misunderstanding of this approach. So we want to balance and be coherent with both paradigms, both understandings. We live in both dimensions. We live in all dimensions. So let's not avoid any dimension. Let's be coherent with all of them as God. Being God, godding things into existence. And knowing that is where we find freedom, and balancing that is where we embody it. I hope this video was helpful. I have a free community where I take people through this every single week. So if you're interested in that, I would love to see you there. Have an amazing day, guys. Take care.